I want to begin by thanking Swindon Council for inviting me here today, because I know what a challenging time it's been for the voluntary, community and public sector. For everyone involved in the delivery of services to communities, it's a difficult time. It's a pleasure to be back here in Steam. So I grew up in Swindon and my dad worked in the works here, so I can remember coming to open days when I was a child. So it's great to be back in such a fantastic place now. I'm going to give you quite a short presentation today, because I'm sure you can imagine just by looking at this slide, which tries to set out some of the key policy strands, white papers, funding programmes that come under the banner of Big Society. There's a huge amount going on. Gavin talked very briefly about the Localism Bill, which is actually now the Localism Act. And he also mentioned the Open Public Services White Paper, which has some quite fundamental implications for local authorities and the voluntary community sector in the way services are delivered. That this slide just gives you a very brief overview of the kind of programmes coming out, some from the Cabinet Office and some from the Communities and Local Government Department. The Giving White Paper, published in May 2001, this is very much about the social action strand of the Big Society. And it's really about making it easier to give, not only money through schemes like the Round Pound scheme. Some of you may have been in restaurants or hotels or shops even when you're asked to top up your expenditure to the nearest pound, and the money goes often to a very specific charity, charity. Government's also trying to explore how we can get philanthropists to engage and to donate funds to particular causes. And we're funding various other programmes such as business connectors, where businesses such as Dairy Crest and Asda and Sainsbury's are engaging some of their employees with the local community and trying to understand how they can support the community better. Making it more compelling to give involves things like making it easier to bequeath money and making inheritance tax more attractive, but also credit for volunteering. There are schemes such as Time Bank, where you can swap volunteering hours for other services, often quite at a local level. There's the National Citizen Service, which a lot of you may be aware of. After the riots this summer, the Prime Minister talked about upping the number of young people involved in the National Citizen Service. It's an opportunity for 16 to 18-year-olds to have some time doing an outward bound type of course, but then volunteering in their local communities. And finally, better support to those providing and managing opportunities to give. The government's launched the £30 million Local Infrastructure Fund, which is about supporting organisations that support voluntary and community organisations like Voluntary Action Swindon, simplifying Give Day, and funds to train people that train volunteers, so health and safety and all the other things that you need to be a volunteer in certain organisations. I touched on this very briefly. I know that Swindon have put in a bid for the Transforming Local Infrastructure Fund. This is a grant which will be around £400,000. Not everyone will be successful. So every other authority around the country will have put in a bid, but only 50% will be successful. And it is about funding transition and change. How can you work differently with voluntary community sector organisations? How can you become more sustainable? How can you work with business? So the results of that will be issued shortly. Open Public Services White Paper, Gavin touched on this in his presentation. It is about local authorities engaging with the other tiers of government, town, parish and community councils, community budgets, which is something that Gavin was discussed yesterday. It's a pilot from the Community and Local Government Department, building on pilots that have already run, trying to identify the easiest and best way to engage communities so that they have a say and a real say in how services are designed and delivered. Extending commissioning into areas which haven't traditionally been commissioned, and payment by results, which those of you who are familiar with the work programme will know a bit about. Community First panel announced a couple of weeks ago. This is a specific funding to identify wards, and in Swindon it's the Horse Hill and Pinehurst ward and also the Parks ward. And the idea is that this is money that will kickstart projects to benefit the local community. Each panel will determine their own criteria and they will receive the money over a 3-year period. They'll draw up a strategy which talks about how they want the community to benefit from this money. And the key issue here is that the money needs to be match funded, not by other money, although that is an option, but actually by time. So each volunteer hour is worth £11. So it's about trying to attract volunteers and other resources to match the funding given by government. I just want to finish really by talking about the Big Society Awards. This is something that David Cameron launched shortly after the coalition government came into power. It's an award which has a closure date every 3 months, but an award is given every week to an organisation that is delivering to the local community and really making a difference. And I would encourage you all to have a look at the website and see if there's an organisation that you'd like to nominate to give this award. A little mention also of the Queen's Award for Voluntary Service, run by the Cabinet Office. Next year will be a very special year because we're going to have the 2012 Diamond Jubilee Award, and information is starting to come through about that. So again, I'm sure you all know people and organisations that would be worthy of nomination for that. This is just a little advert for me actually. I spend my time travelling around the whole of the South West. I cover the Isles of Scilly, Cornwall, Devon, right up to Bath, North East, Somerset, and also Swindon. And I'm always keen to hear about community projects, other voluntary community organisations who are working in partnership with business, on their own, or with public sector agencies. So my email address is at the end. Please do contact me if you'd like me to come and see you, if you'd like to tell me about what you're